yes, there's that conflict, but I see that as an opportunity. So I think developers have an opportunity to provide value in that residential so that it meets the standard that that particular brand has created.
Sure, but opted for Dubai. I think because, as I say, the whole package, the whole sort of fact that this incredible city that's grown from nothing basically in 50 years to what it is now.
Yeah, Portugal and Spain.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on there.
Yes.
There's beachfront. There's just like proper lifestyle. How do you see those luxury, high-end destinations would typically find here?
I don't know if everyone knows, but all the villas, once they're built, and you look at it from above, from space, it's a poem. It's a prayer, actually, written by Sheikh Mohammed.
Interesting.
Yeah, the design.
You heard it here first. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another session of the Brick Buzz, a takeover of hosting responsibilities by myself, Asad Creates. And today is a very special episode because we've got a guest who has 30 years in the real estate market and the international market, Mr. James Bradley from Laya Developers. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much.
How's it going?
Good.
What's going on, James? For the reason we do these sessions is because we want, through these sessions, through these conversations, through recording these conversations, we want to bring industry experts on the camera, give the audience an idea of our association with A players in the market, and so that through our platform, players like you, experienced individuals like you, can provide more value to the audience. Who is our audience?
Sure.
People who buy and sell property.
Exactly.
That's kind of the people we're looking at for attention.
Okay.
That's why you're here, and I'm very happy that you made it.
I'm very pleased you invited me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What brought you to Dubai, or is this way long in the past that it doesn't matter because so much has changed, or is there like for you a Dubai origin story that matters?
Yeah, not necessarily that matters, but I can explain why I'm here. Because I've only been here for 6 years, and I say only because,
6 years.
As you know, in the Dubai market, 6 years, people say, oh, you're a newbie.
And a lot has happened in those 6 years.
Yeah, lots happened in those 6 years.
Yeah.
That was all pre-COVID and everything.
Yeah.
But before Dubai, I was working in Spain for 27 years. I've always in previous decades of work done commercial real estate, so that's very different from luxury property, residential property,
of course,
which I'm doing here. So this was a complete change. I was running what's now the second largest real estate consultancy in the world in Spain. So I was country head for Spain and Portugal for a number of years, and then for various reasons left there, had a couple of years off, and during those 2 years I decided what next. And I thought, I've seen all these programs on TV about selling luxury property. Looked good fun and interesting, and I've always loved, penthouses and luxury apartments and things. So decided to come and try it over here in Dubai. So that's the reason why I'm here, basically.
Is the luxury element what attracted you, or would you have come anyway? Is it the reason I'm asking is because Dubai is sold. When I say sold, Dubai is thought of as a destination, as a place of stability, growth, future, forward thinking, future.
Yes.
Luxury is a part of it, but from your point of view, is it an integral part of how people see Dubai, or is it for luxury seekers? What brought you in that sense?
Yeah, I think, it was a whole package that brought me, not just purely, luxury property in Dubai.
Yeah.
I was looking at other markets as well, like Singapore, even Florida as well, but opted for Dubai. I think because, as I say, the whole package, the whole sort of the fact that this incredible city that's grown from nothing basically in 50 years to what it is now.
Yeah.
Incredible story, incredible leadership. So that's what really attracted me. And then the icing on the cake was the luxury residential. Here, architects can do what they want. There's not much planning. It's not like in European cities. We get all these restrictions. Basically, you have an idea here, just do it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. Let people's imagination run wild. Within reason.
Of course.
But I think it's it's good. People can express their.
Yeah, tallest tower in the world isn't exactly an architectural punt. It's it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah. But I mean, I was looking at, just as an aside, I was watching a program last night. Lincoln Cathedral in the UK was the tallest building in the world for 250 years during the 15th, 16th centuries. So, I mean, look how things have changed.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
Comparing Dubai to other global cities, that's all anyone talks about. Compares.
Yeah.
Every other place is in trouble in terms of, I don't know, personal safety, things like that. Dubai is safe. That's quite in vogue right now. When it comes to high-end properties, continuing with the luxury property, what changes, what differentiates luxury properties or high-end properties here to other places that you've seen in the world? Obviously, Portugal and Spain.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
There's beachfront. There's just like a proper lifestyle. How do you see those luxury high-end destinations to what you would typically find here?
I think probably one of the main differences is the branding. I mean, this is like number one location in the world for branding. I mean, brands have gone crazy here.
Yeah.
And I think, and the design of the buildings, all the amenities that they include as well, they kind of go over and above here, which you don't really get in Europe. In Spain, it's more traditional, it's luxury.
Yeah.
But it's not, here you can have wacky luxury, like.
More progressive here?
Yeah, more progressive. You can drive your car up to your living room in an elevator on the 80th floor here in Dubai. Can't do that in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's very, they're always trying to find different things to differentiate themselves, to go that extra mile.
Has that gone too far? Personal question. As a consumer as a resident of the city, somebody who's alive, who thinks, who talks to people, I can think, has it gone too far? Or
I think we possibly are getting, not in terms of the design itself, I think probably in terms of the branding. Some of the brands are getting a little bit silly. And you have to question whether they're actually adding any value.
Brand associations, you mean?
Brand associations with these buildings, branded with whatever. I'm not going to mention names. But
Sure, of course.
But then you think, does it really add any value? Why would I buy that compared to the building next door, which doesn't have that name associated with it?
Yeah.
What's the difference? Just because they stick a logo in the living room or something. I think in that sense, it probably needs to be, maybe, the developers need to think a bit more seriously about who they're branding with. And
to me, that's opportunity. We're not the only people who've said that they can't quite associate a certain brand with a residential building. We're not the only ones who are saying that. A lot of people say that. So that's normal. But I don't. Yes, there's that conflict, but I see that as an opportunity. So I think developers have an opportunity to provide value in that residential so that it meets the standard that particular brand has created.
Sure. But it has to meet that standard. Why do developers brand? They brand because branding adds 20 to 25% to the value immediately. Just because you're associated with a name, you can sell your apartments 25% more than the person next door who's got identical building but it's not branded.
Yeah.
That's the theory of it. So that's why developers brand. It adds value, but you've got to give that value to the buyers. So the brand that you are branding with has to provide the services that those clients, require and expect. You brand with a hotel chain which can give all these wonderful services. They're used to doing it, decades of experience, makes sense.
Yeah.
But you brand with other brands which is just a household name. What are they adding? Maybe you get the furniture which is got, as I say, have their logos on it or something, but that's not adding value. Value is all the services, the privacy, the exclusivity.
Yeah.
If you brand with a hotel chain, for example, maybe you get a loyalty card which gives you access to hotels all around the world with discounts and upgrades and things. That's adding value.
Yeah.
So those have to be, if as a developer you're branding in order to sell more expensively, that's a responsibility on you then to give that higher value back to your buyers.
100%. And I think most people would think that maybe these developers aren't doing a great job yet of getting to that point.
Some are not. Yeah.
Some are, yeah.
Yeah. I think I think they realise that's what needs to be done. But I think that's what is attracting. That's what differentiates luxury property here from the rest of Europe, for example.
So that's what's happened. Where do you see it going? future of luxury real estate. If you look at figures on the ground, if you look at Palm Jumeirah, if you look at Marina, all these areas, Imar beachfront, and all these areas, it seems to be no end. A standard garden hall, standard not upgrade garden hall on the Palm. I'm not going to go into pre-COVID figures or around COVID with the 10, 12 million, whatever it is. You can't get a decent one for less than 35 million.
Exactly.
And these are lower numbers, lower to mid numbers. Forget that. You go on and spend another 8 to 10 million refurbishing it. You're looking at, I don't know, 55, 60 million and above. No, so there seems to, which is even more than what it was maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
So in a way, there seems to be no end. I think it's a good thing.
In terms of pricing, I mean, or value, you're talking about that.
In terms of pricing.
Pricing, yeah. No, I mean, during COVID, you could pick up garden homes for under 7 million.
That's true.
And I know someone who bought one for 7 million, more or less.
Yeah.
Spent 4 on it, which was a lot percentage-wise, more than 50%.
Yeah.
Refurbishing it, sold it for 41 million 2 years later.
Happy days.
Happy days. So those are the kind of opportunities you get in Dubai, which you don't get anywhere else in the world. Now, okay, that was super opportunistic because it was COVID. But those kind of opportunities are still going on. I think next year, in terms of pricing, probably the market will flatten out for a while. Okay. I don't see prices dropping, but I do see them flattening out or not going up as quickly as they have been. I think that's healthy. If there's like a 6-month and 8-month hiatus of prices just standing pretty still, and then they start to go up again gradually, at the end of next year, I think that'd be very, very healthy.
What causes that? I don't want to say slowdown. What causes that period of calm, if you will?
I mean, everything in property is supply and demand. There's a lot of supply coming out next year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the exact figures. There's a lot of units going to be finished next year. I think that will help to sort of make the prices slow down a little bit because people have a bit more offer, which they haven't got at the moment. At the moment, it's not as bad as it was, 2 years ago. But if you don't buy it now, sir, by 4:30, someone else has bought it.
Is there a lot coming on in the luxury market?
Not so much in luxury, but just generally. Yeah. So I think, if prices stabilize generally, that has a knock-on effect throughout the whole market.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see, pricing going. In terms of, where will the luxury segment go? I think buyers are becoming more and more demanding. They're much more, interested in privacy, security, exclusivity. And as they can now get that in Dubai, over the past few years, they've been able to achieve that. They are, they're asking for more and more. I mean, people, I think, will see more buildings now with helipads, private slots for yachts and this sort of thing. It's kind of thinking, what else can we provide these people with? These ultra high net worth individuals. What else can we provide them with that will make them happy and comfortable and make them want to buy? So, I've had people wanting, questions like, can we, helipad? Can I put a helipad on the top of this penthouse? Can I turn this roof here into a tennis court? They're always thinking of the next sort of thing. There's no end to it.
Because these properties, you don't have properties here that you, perhaps, if you look at some of these big mansions in LA that have all those things, tennis court, these properties have nothing compared to that. So there's so much to do.
Yes. Individual properties, they could do so much to,
Right?
Yeah.
So now when you look at the projects like Palm Jebel Ali, which as an area of your villa, it gives you twice the size, twice the plot, maybe even more, then you're looking at just a lot of bigger canvas to have
blank
more
canvas,
fun on,
exactly,
really, right?
Yeah.
And people with money like to have fun with...
Exactly. Maybe they'll start digging down further. It's difficult here in Dubai, but, dig down and you've got all these floors, your private cinema, your gym, your this, that, and the other. Underground park.
Have you heard of somebody on Palm Jumeirah already having a basement?
I think there are a few with basement, probably only one basement though.
Maybe one basement,
It's pretty difficult on Palm Jumeirah, but further inland, yes. You could probably start doing it.
I think that in that sense, I think Palm Jebel Ali just changes the whole game because just, like you said,
blank canvas. When you think with Palm Jebel Ali, people, I don't know if everyone knows, but all the villas, once they're built, When you look at it from above, from space, it's a poem. It's a prayer, actually, written by Sheikh Mohammed.
Interesting.
Yeah, the design.
You heard it here first. I've never heard that.
Yeah. So he wrote a prayer or a poem, I think, and the design of the house, the layout.
Yeah.
If you look at it from above, it's written.
Oh,
So, the world's your oyster. I mean, he woke up one morning, I want to design an island shaped like a palm, and he did it. So,
Does luxury and sustainability go hand in hand?
I would say probably
Is it enough?
Enough. Not at the moment, but there's, it's on there. It's on the table. I think sustainability comes more into play on the commercial side, particularly in offices and retail. But we are way behind the rest of the world in terms of BREEAM certificates, LEED certificates, sustainable buildings. That hasn't really come into play yet here. I think because of the speed of development and the speed of growth of the country. But it is now coming into, the boardrooms are discussing it more because it's obviously a global issue.
Yeah.
But it's not being incorporated particularly at the moment into any residential, as far as I'm aware.
You've dealt with all sorts of all levels of buyer demographic. Does the sustainability factor tug at the heartstrings?
It does. I mean, not with the luxury side, yes. With the sort of ultra high net worth individuals, yes, they can be quite interested in.
Yeah. Europeans
as well, yeah, particularly that sort of market. They're interested, they want to know if the water is recycled, how the lights, if there's any kind of solar lighting, if the building is, is sustainable on its own and this sort of thing. Any other things that are sustainable, the construction itself. I mean, the biggest polluter, one of the biggest polluters in the world is construction, particularly cement. I mean, that's producing, billions of tons or millions of tons of carbon dioxide. And they're looking at ways of, changing the way cement is made. It's a big factor in pollution is the construction industry. So, it's becoming more and more, it's coming up the list, if you like, But in terms of when you're designing a building, I mean, it's not really at the forefront of people's minds. I mean, the whole sort of, structure in Europe, you have quantity surveyors who, will be involved right from the outset in terms of designing a building, and they'll be looking at the sustainability and stuff. I think here it's much more the developer talking to an architectural practice.
Yeah.
Architect designs a nice building and it's created. There needs to be, I think, that sort of input more on the technical side.
But it'll get there.
It'll get there. It is getting there, and it is already getting there on the commercial side. Office buildings are being built now, which are more sustainable. They're getting LEED certificates. There are some residential buildings with LEED certificates.
Yeah.
So it's getting there bit by bit.
Excellent. Being part of the FRICS, Professional Chartered Surveyors Network, or ecosystem. When you come into a market like this, how do you maintain and build the levels of integrity into your business when it comes to relationships with clients, with brokers, broker networks? Obviously, you could sit here and say, well, it's not at the levels that it should be at. What's missing? And you don't have to, right?
Yeah, don't go into details, but I mean, the RICS, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, is a global entity, which, basically, I would sum up its remit as to professionalize the whole real estate sector, and real estate in its widest ambit. I mean, that as a real estate professional, you can be looking after fields in Scotland. Literally, that's an estate management role. You could be looking after the facilities management of a building in Hong Kong or here in Dubai. You could be selling residential here, selling residential in London, anywhere. You'd be going up into roofs and attics in residential houses and doing structural surveys. I mean, the world is your oyster. So that, bringing all those together, I would say its remit is to make sure there's professionality, honesty, transparency, trust, etc., etc. So that is what the institution does. And here it's, to have it is as you say, there's a lot still to be done here, particularly on the residential side. But, it does create that trust with people when they see those letters after your name. Particularly in Europe or other markets.
Yeah.
Where, RSS is strong all over the world, but very much so in Europe, in Asia. Not so much here. There isn't, presence here. We're qualifying new people bring them into the institution all the time.
Yeah.
But when Europeans, for example, see those letters, they realise, okay, I'm dealing with someone I can trust.
And it's not misplaced at all, because a lot of Europeans are looking into this region.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not something that either us as members of the institution take lightly, or our clients.
Yeah.
And we get barred from the institution.
You got a reputation to uphold.
A reputation to keep up.
Yeah.
So
love it. How is the real estate industry's regulatory environment evolved? I know you've been here 6 years, but in those 6 years, you've also gotten to know a lot of what happened before you came.
Exactly. Yeah, I was
right?
going to say,
Because everything is built upon what happened from, say,
Previously,
2005 to 2015 onwards, right?
Yeah. No, it's changed dramatically because, before, 2008, 2007, 2005, up to 2008, it was the wild, wild west. I've heard stories of, crazy stories, people, deals were done. You sit around a table, you sell me a property, I sell it to the person next to me, they sell it to the person next to me half an hour later, and it comes back to me and it's doubled in value in half an hour.
Yeah.
That's why they brought in the DLD, to stop that kind of. So there was no management basically before. It was a wild, wild west, and then they put into place RERA, and being as clever as they are here, they took the best. They looked at Singapore, they looked at the UK, which UK probably the most mature real estate market in the world. Singapore, which is obviously similar kind of jurisdiction, tax-free environment and everything here to Dubai. So they took the best of both of them, created RERA, and it's now a very, very controlled environment. So before, where we saw these ups and downs like the teeth of a saw, 2008, it suddenly, plummeted, up and down, up and down. There's no stability. It was like betting on the stock exchange, really. You could get it right, or you could get it horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Since RERA has come into play now, it's much more, still not a mature market, obviously, after only 50 years, but it's certainly going that way and going that way quickly. And like in any mature market in European capitals, it's the market goes like waves. It's very healthy, it's up and down, but you can more or less predict it. There's a cycle, which is normally 6 or 7 years. And, we talk about the property clock. So if you're at 12 o'clock, you're right at the top of the market and it's about to come down. When you get down to 6, you're at the bottom of the market and it's going to start going up again. I would say in Dubai, to put that into context, we're probably at 9 o'clock at the moment, 9 or 10 o'clock. I think we're coming up to the point where it's not necessarily going to fall, but I think, as I said before, it's probably going to tail off for a bit. But it is healthy. These cycles are healthy because it allows people to buy in, to sell, to invest at the right time, to sell out at the right time, to create value.
And I think you're rightly suggesting that the regulatory environment has something to do with that.
Yeah, definitely, because it's now much more controlled. Before, you had all these stories of developers setting these buildings off plan, 100% sold, and then they never happened. These buildings were never built. The developer disappeared, everyone lost all their money.
Yeah.
That's now impossible. All the money goes into an escrow account, everyone is super protected. In that sense, much more so than in Europe. As a buyer, you might think, okay, I don't know anything about Dubai. Once you tell them, yes, but your money's going into an escrow account, I can't touch it. I'm not allowed to take that money out as a developer until I get to certain points in the construction.
Yeah.
And then the Dubai Land Department will allow me to take out to continue with the construction. So your money is protected. If I go belly up or I disappear, that money's in the escrow and it would be given back to the buyers. So they're incredibly well protected. And they're also controlling supply and demand. So if you remember when there was this sort of oversupply, the big state developers were told, stop developing new projects.
Smart, of course.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They're supposed to know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And then in the long run, you can tell that, okay, that was part of a plan, part of a strategy, which is great. I know that agents in a lot of situations might criticize the developer for holding on to inventory and not releasing it, or release, they know, they plan it. But that's...
and it's gone gone up and up and up since...
And the confidence in the market is at an all-time high.
And then all the add-ons, which, the government's doing here with the golden visas, attracting these millionaires, billionaires, more millionaires, billionaires coming here to Dubai than anywhere else in the world. when they come, obviously, they attract all their friends and their millionaire friends to come as well.
Yeah.
And probably, over the last few years, we've had a lot of Russians coming in. You could say, okay, are they sort of fake millionaire? I mean, they're millionaires, but it's not the kind of millionaire that you would necessarily associate with, not the Bill Gates of this world and the Elon Musk of this world. But, Elon Musk might come and live here. It's got to that point now where some of these extremely wealthy, globally known people will come and establish their roots in Dubai.
Yeah.
And the population growth, which we're seeing now and which is going to carry on. I mean, it means that I can't see there being an oversupply in the short term.
Love it. Republican or Democrat?
Oh my word.
What does that change?
Okay, I thought you were going to ask me which way I would vote.
You can't vote.
No, I thought you were going to say if I could, which way would I go?
Which way does it change anything for us here, for the market here? This is a comment. Hey, this is an opinion, I'm sure.
I mean, we all know Trump is a loose cannon.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's the unknown. With the Democrats getting in, it's stability. It's more of the same. Now, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. Sometimes I think the world needs shaking up. I think there's too much of this kind of apathy and more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. And the world's not going in a particularly good place at the moment, generally. So maybe a shake-up is not a bad idea. But as I say, he's a loose cannon. But who knows? I mean, he says he can end the war in 2 weeks. If he could do that, fantastic, But then all the other things he might do as well. So I don't know. It's uncertainty.
It's funny because I saw a study that if you looked at the last, I think it was 50 years, not 100 years, I'm pretty sure it was 50 years, that if you look at the last 50 years, the economy and the dollar and everything has done better under a Democrat president than a Republican.
Right.
But if you looked at, I think it was like, if you looked at the last 25 years or 50 years, then Republican was better. But if you looked at the last 100 years, then Democrat was better. But if you really think about it right now, it doesn't. All of that history doesn't matter because everything is, like you said, the world is going in a certain direction.
Yeah.
A lot of people would argue that that's not great.
Yeah. I don't know. He or she will be the most powerful person in the world, obviously.
Yeah.
And that will have amazing influence. So we will see. But I think, as I say, if the Democrats get in, it's more of the same. The world, will continue in the same direction. If the Republicans get in, maybe there'll be some positive changes. I don't know.
Young professionals entering the real estate market, wanting to build a career, there's no shortage of motivation to do it.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of incentive to do it. A lot of people sitting in the UK, sitting in other parts of the world, are looking at the way you did 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Looking at
seeing the opportunity.
Seeing the opportunity. What's your advice?
I mean,
what's the one thing they need to get right?
I think they just need to keep their feet on the ground. I mean, a lot of people come over here, they've heard the story of the friend who started off in real estate and in his first week made 5 million dirham.
5 million?
Or more,
I'm in the wrong business here.
There's the story of the driver in one of the big companies who decided he wanted to go into, sales, put him on a stand.
FAM, I think.
And he sold, FAM sold a whole building to EMA, from EMA on his first week, That doesn't happen. Once in a lifetime that happens. So I think everyone's heard these stories and think, oh, it's easy. I go to Dubai and I'll be, I'll make loads of money, I'll be rich, and I'll have my, my Mercedes after a year, my Rolex after 2 years, and this sort of thing. It's not, that's 1 or 2% of the people. It's hard work, it's hard slog. You've got to learn the market first, which takes time. It's a very different market to anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
This is not your controlled European markets where you have a buyer on an exclusive basis. You can't deal with anyone else apart from you, and you go around and find him his property or her property. Here they could, as we all know, you can spend 6 months with the buyer and then they decide not to buy, or in the last minute they buy with another agent, stab you in the back. So it's a very different market.
So what? Don't expect things to be fair?
No, I think don't you've got to fight. It's a bit of a jungle. On the residential side, it's a bit of a jungle. You've got to be constant. You've got to have your feet on the ground. Just work hard. And working hard doesn't mean, some people will take that to an extreme and they'll be working 14, 15 hours a day, seven days a week. You don't need to do that. You just need to work intelligently and professionally. And I think if you work professionally, you build relationships and you see the clients as people that you want to do repeat business with, and that they will give through word of mouth, they'll recommend you and this sort of thing, then you can build up a nice career here, very nice career. But if you're coming as a salesman, then that's the wrong, you're not selling shoes. You're trying to, you're selling property. People live in there. This is their home. This is their dream. And you need to build those relationships. So it's not a question of do the deal, get the commissions, and move on to the next one. No, it's a question of advise people. You've got to advise, and even if that means advising them not to buy what they want to buy, not to go down the route that they want to go down because there's other better options, or not even to buy at all because they can't afford it, etc., then that's where you add value.
Love it. Final thoughts? What pisses you off?
Oh, long list. I think, generally people not doing what they say they're going to do. I don't know if there's an expression here if there's an expression in English. In Spanish, I always think of it, which is canta mañanas, which means you're singing tomorrow all the time. You never actually do it, So that really annoys me. And the lack of professionality generally, from a lot of people. Not from everybody, obviously, but from a lot of people. And, I think generally, people, I think the great thing about Dubai is that there's this, safest place in the world. And we all know you can leave your wallet on top of a taxi, and come back tomorrow and it's still there. Yeah. People don't rob things very, very rarely. There's no robbery, there's no muggings, there's nothing. It's very, very safe. And that is unique in the whole of Dubai. And that's not something that's instilled by law. It's just the culture here, the mentality. Yeah. And people, when they come over here, they get pulled into that, which I think is extremely positive. But there are obviously elements, people who in their professional lives don't act professionally,
Which is also a culture of positivity. I think in this country, you wake up in the morning, you generally see people up for it.
Yes.
People have a sense of positivity, not being fed with negative news all the time.
No.
I'm not, there's a real world out there, and I know bad things happen, of course. But I think, in a sense, Dubai chooses to keep it positive.
Yes.
They're not trying to solve every problem.
No.
And they're trying to have people like you and I and everybody who wants to take advantage of the opportunity, take it further. This has been great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
James.
Thanks for having me.
We will see you next week in another episode of The Brick Bus.